for it. Let's go. Coming in so hard on the beat like Bow Wow cornrows on a beat mic. Laced up to the top, about to take flight. Meet me at the rim? Yes, I keep it going. Yeah, I'm flowing like a prophet. I am chosen to fix this world that is broken. Here's a lesson, better note it. We all try to be civil. Hashtag shut up and dribble. Pledge allegiance to the flag while they emptied out the mag. Take a knee for the politics. Got them on the knees now, just suck it. Whoa, no homo. Don't choke, get it right, Tony Romo. Yeah, that was kinda raw, wasn't it? Finesse words all day for the fun of it. Nowadays, no one cares cause a man can't say and get away with no punishment. But don't sit well with me. I lost change, but it's still incomplete. Gotta be more radical than Malcolm. Xing out all possible outcomes. Trump sparking, school's marksman. Got wall fires that's sparking. Can't forget kids are starving, but they the only folks marching. How much longer will this linger? Stacking problems like Jenga. Issues piss life with stingers. And I'm out, 2 fingers. Before we start the show, I would like to give a special shout out to all the performers who joined me in the interviews on this episode. It was a blast. I had a phenomenal time getting to know each and every one of you and having you share your art and any other things that you got going on in your life. Next thing, I would like to give a disclaimer or a heads up to the audience that is listening to the episode. A lot of people called in using their phones. So I just say that to be leery of, you may hear a little bit of static, something going in and out. If you hear a little echo throughout the episode, just bear with us. Because like I said, they all called in from their phone. We weren't able to link up before this episode. So just know that, all that extra noise and stuff that you hear in the background is noticed and you're not going crazy. Trust me. And with that, I'm going to throw you guys right into the episode. Thank you. What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Lamar coming to you guys with another 2 Fingers episode here at our podcast. We have a group of talented individuals, different artists and performers, and we're just excited for what's to come out of the performance these upcoming weekend. First and foremost, just to let you all know that the event will be happening August 14th. That is a Sunday. Doors open at 4 p.m. Showtime starts around 5 p.m., the best we can. It might start a little bit later. We're just trying to let everybody get in. And it's over near the Dulles Airport. First and foremost, we're going to start with a new, young, up-and-coming artist. She's very talented. The first time I actually ran into her, I was actually on a mini vacation in Brooklyn. And so I just went to an open mic area. And she showed up, honestly, like kind of out of nowhere last minute. And she really blew me away with her voice, her style, her genre. And it's very soulful, but she has a different turn on it in her own personal way. So allow me to introduce you all to Miss Aria Narang. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for those kind words. That means a lot.
No worries. And they're not just kind words, they're honest truths.
Oh, thank you.
Every person who's going to be at this show who are performing had an influence on me, and the fact that I saw you for maybe a total of 10 to 15 minutes and you had
Mm.
such a heavily influence on me. And then, afterwards I followed your music on Spotify. So I've been rocking to, your music for a little bit now. I've been enjoying it.
No, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. So go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself, who you are and whatnot. We'll kind of roll into this.
Yeah. So my name is Aria, and well, for as long as I can remember, I've been very much into music. I grew up in New Orleans, which, if anyone knows, is the spot to be for a musician.
Okay.
Um, and I started with the violin actually at around 4 years old. So I've been performing on the stage for a very, very long time. But after that, I got into singing and music, songwriting, and the guitar, and so I've really kind of crafted that part of myself, and really found that that's my passion, no matter what. Um, I'll say yes to any singing performance opportunity because it is absolutely what I love. But I am in school now at Barnard Columbia in New York City, which is
Yep,
also an
yep, yep.
amazing place to perform. So that is what I'm up to now. And then I've been doing a bunch of open mics and um, trying to get some paid gigs. But honestly, it's all just love for this for music, and I really really appreciate any opportunity given to me to perform. So I'm very excited for this show as well.
Absolutely, and we're excited, and like I said, it's all about the exposure, right? And you have a persona about you that kind of gives off, your love for music. A shock though, that New Orleans is a shock. I didn't know you were you had some Cajun soul in you. I didn't know you
Yeah,
were
yeah, yeah,
that is really cool. So, okay, with that being said, and if a lot of you guys don't know, the streets of New Orleans is always filled with music and
for sure.
everything. So what out no, I'm pretty sure that was pretty much the inspiration, right? Is that what truly inspired you? Like who was your inspiration to become an artist or songwriter? If you could just name a couple artists or people who influenced your music.
Yeah, I think earlier on, well, of course, the music-filled streets of New Orleans were definitely something I always yearned for. But I think artist-wise, growing up, a lot of I think Adele, in terms of voice, always spoke
Mhm,
to me because I just loved how powerful her voice was. And then songwriting, actually, and people think this is interesting. I think Ed Sheeran was the first person I heard on the radio where I was like, "Oh, this is
wow,
such a cool story that I'm hearing. That it's not just about the music. It's like he's painting a picture for me."
mhm,
Um, but now I've really gotten into some R&B, um, like Georgia Smith, Janae Aiko, and some of
mhm,
those voices are kind of fueling my music as well. But people people are always surprised, and I think people have a hard time kind of finding a genre for my music because every song of mine is a little different.
mhm,
But I do
mhm.
think I have pop R&B singer songwriter vibes, and they all just kind of come together in that way. Um, but yeah, I feel like I'm constantly inspired by new voices all the time. I don't know if you listen to Omar Apollo. I feel like he's got a great voice and great writing. I listen to Black and some other
Mhm.
rappers also. It's great how much storytelling is involved. So yeah, every day I'm searching for new inspirations.
And what's funny about that is when I was telling people back here about you or whatnot,
Mhm.
the examples that you use, I actually kind of use it. I was like, she has like this it's different, right? Like she has you could hear the R&B soul in it, but the way she sings, you can hear like it's Adele-esque. And I didn't really want to put that label on you because again, Adele is one of those who is like, and here, especially with black people, when we're like, which kind of white people are invited to the cookout, right? Kind of thing
Right.
like that. And she was like, she's definitely one of those, who can come to the cookout. And I was like, that's a tough label because I don't want to throw that on her and make her feel like, ah. But yes, I'm
I
actually a
appreciate
huge,
that.
no doubt. And I'm actually a huge fan of Ed Sheeran. Like
Mhm.
if I had like I'm gonna say like a white boy fanboy crush, Ed Sheeran is
Right.
my guy. Like I jam to Ed Sheeran like high key. It's not even a secret. Like I rock to that man.
Yeah.
Like right now, for the past like probably year now, Shivers has been my jam for a minute.
Shivers is so good. It is so good.
Shivers is
Keep
so creative, but I've been listening to him for a while. So it's funny that and I'm glad that you use that because that is so true. And the way they do capture the essence of R&B, which I find funny is that, when you think of a lot of entertainers coming from the UK, a lot of their stuff, like the legendary UK artists, they do get a lot of their soulfulness from our down south R&B culture and that
Mhm.
Harlem and that Motown vibe. So I'm glad to hear that that's about you. So
Mhm.
actually, let's kind of continue on. I know maybe not recently, but you recently just dropped an album called Confessions, right? Um,
Confession, yes.
right, Confession, my bad. What
No
was
worries.
where was your mind space? Like where were you when you were creating this project?
Yeah, well, I wasn't given the opportunity to record a lot of my songs for a while, so I was just kind of sitting on these songs that I felt really needed to be released to the world and not just being performed, but so that people can stream them. And then COVID hit, and I was, at school in my very small dorm with nothing. But I was like, I really need to get these songs out, not only for myself and my mental health, but also so that people can really enjoy this. And I think there's not a better time than to release it now, because you're trapped in your room with your own feelings during this pandemic. People need music, you need
Mhm,
music. So I was like, okay, let's just do it. So I got very very minimal music supplies. Like an interface and a mic, and just it was in the very, very back of my dorm room in this small little corner. and I had a producer friend in Austin who was willing to help me out with this, and so I just every day sang into that mic and then sent my vocals over to him, and he got to it, and then he would send it back to me, and I'd have some friends in my room looking out for me and making sure that no one was making noise in the hallway, and it was just such a funny like people are always so amazed that that album happened in such a way that there was just so little there and I had to block out the noise and but that's why I think it means so much to me because not only is it my first album but it's also just I think later on when I have, 2, 3, 4 more albums
Mhm,
out,
mhm.
I'm gonna look back and I'm like, wow, now I'm doing this in a big studio and I don't
Yeah.
have to worry about noise. And this took me 2 months, but my first album that took me so long and it'll just make me feel so much more proud of doing it. But yeah, I think it was just very important during the pandemic, during just very uncertain times, scary times to do that
Mhm.
for myself and for others.
I mean I mean, that's just kinda like the norm the ideas of, like, a humble beginning and the fact that you
Mhm.
and I already know how, the sensitivity of a mic and really trying to perfect it, and to see that
Right.
you did it in the corner of your room and the mics, you got people, like, trying to make sure because dorm rooms can get rowdy and,
Yes.
especially in a pandemic where y'all are forced to be in y'all room, so y'all pretty much
Right.
gotta yell across the hall to talk to each other or anything like that,
Exactly.
but no, I think that's really cool, and the fact and honestly, the fact that now that I know that that album came from, the small of your room is incredible. Actually,
Mhm.
what like my 2 favorite songs, my first song is "Along for the Ride." Like, I tell you that, I probably, like,
Yes.
DM'd you that a couple of times because I really just be jamming to that. That joint, I don't know if it's a hook or what you got going on in there, but it's just a very and it's like the transitions and the different kind of cadences that you put together and kinda link
Oh,
with
I'm
the
so
melody.
glad. I think it's, so a lot of people actually tell me "Along for the Ride" is their favorite, and
Mhm,
if you listen to the lyrics, you can kind of figure it out, but that one's actually about, anxiety,
mhm.
and I've struggled with just, like, horrible anxiety for most of my life, so I put it in this song. It's like, okay, let's personify this anxiety and just like tell the world what it feels like. But a lot of people are like, "Oh, who's this horrible person in your life?" I'm like, "Oh, it's not a person actually." But
Right?
I think it's very cool when artists do they write a song that's not necessarily happy, but then make the song an absolute banger. So I was like,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna do that with Along for the Ride. So I'm so glad to hear that it's your favorite because it almost feels like, take this anxiety, you made a very good song.
Yeah, but Along for the Ride and then, Red is I think Red is like your if you were to put something on the radio, I think Red would be
Oh,
your, like
really?
to me, I just to me, it's like, you know how every album, there's like, of course, you got like the one single that gets out before the album drops, and
Mhm.
you run it dry on the radio until you hear the album, then you be like, oh, there's some like sneaky songs on the rest of the album that I like.
Mhm.
I think Red is like your big like boom. If I was to drop this before I release this album, that would be a good one. I think a lot of people would rock with that because again, it's like I said, it's very Adele esque. Like you use a lot of Adele emotions and soulfulness in that song. So,
Mhm.
um,
I'm
but
so glad you like it.
definitely. So, who is Aria outside of Aria sings in the studio? Like, who is Aria? Like, what does
Mm.
she do? Where is she at most times? Like, who is she?
Yes, well, most people are surprised to hear that I'm actually not studying music in school, mostly because I like music as a performing thing and not really in the classroom.
Hmm.
So outside of music, I'm actually a coder. I'm a computer science nerd, I guess. But in addition to that, I'm also a social justice major. So I love
Mm,
working towards that for human rights and kind of combining the two. So combining, computers and technology and then helping people. So I'm all about the data and all of that. So that's actually what I'm working on at school and found this to be so perfect for me in this way that I don't have to feel like when I love doing that, I don't have to love doing music. Like I can love both,
definitely.
Um, but then, outside of that, I'm a very social person. I love hanging out with my friends, and I'm also a big gym goer um, and being outside. I have a girlfriend of 2.5 years, and she just moved to New York. We've been doing long distance for a very long time. So
Congrats.
um, Thank you. I'm very excited about that. But yeah, that's me outside of music. I'd say most people can figure out who I am other than the coding stuff, seeing me perform. But yeah, that part always comes as a shock. So I thought I'd share it with you.
I'm happy that you did. That's actually pretty cool to see that you are, because you know coders are pretty. They're focused. They're right here at the desk, right here, and then you
Right,
can,
right,
and then you have this like alter ego or this other persona that you can kind of bring out and be free and out
right,
with everyone.
exactly.
So I think it's cool. And for those of you guys who don't follow her, and we'll get to this more, she is really into a lot of social justice things. Like her page is filled with a lot of different things that she does, and you can see that she's very influenced and influential herself about a lot of things that go on.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
Absolutely. Like I said, this is a platform for you all. Like I'm going to share what I see and all this. So last question, um, before we wrap this up with you, what does success look like, or what is the legacy that you want to leave behind when it's
Mm,
all said and done? When you put the
sure.
guitar down, if you ever put the guitar down, I know people would be like, "Nah, you can't really ever let it go." But what is something that you want people to remember you by?
Yeah, I think for the success part, for me, it's just to be happy, and that doesn't necessarily mean that my music gets super big and I get to sell out huge stadiums and all of that. Even though that would be amazing,
Right.
I'm I'm happy now just performing at smaller places and seeing people be touched by my music. And I think that's really all I can ask for is that when I leave this earth, or I don't think I'll ever leave music willingly. Um, but yeah, when I'm gone, that I hope that people continue to listen to my music and not, they don't even need to think about me, but to think about, I'd love for someone to be like, this song helped me through this, or this song made me think about myself in a different way, or whatever it is. And that's why I put music out there to um, not only help myself, but to remind people that they're not alone in their feelings, and that, we're all in this together, as cliche as that sounds. Um, I like when I play a song and someone's like, "Oh, I didn't think anyone else has gone through something like that," And I'm like, "Well, you're not alone. I've gotten several people to tell me the same thing. So people have gone through it just like you. So you're okay." So I think that's the biggest thing. And of course, with that, I would love to have my music get big and spread so that more and more people can feel less alone.
Awesome. I love that. Um, I was gonna go back to that something you said earlier, especially with the whole legacy idea. You said you had all these songs that you had written and whatnot. So, like most songwriters, you probably got a lot of songs in the vault that you haven't even released yet, or you're
For
holding
sure.
on to, or you're just like, I can't use that. That's not good enough. And that's about when you're like when you're 40 and they're gonna be like, oh, there's this release out of nowhere that she had when she was back in her 20s and stuff like that. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's so cool. Well, before we go, can you just let everyone know your socials, your platforms, how to find you, where to look to find your music and who you are?
Yes, I'm most active on Instagram, so if you wanna search me at Aria Sings Tunes, that's Aria, you will find me very quickly. And on there are my links to my Spotify and Apple Music. But if you wanna just search me up on Spotify, if you search Aria and then Confession, which is the name of my latest album, you'll find me as well.
Awesome. That is great. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure to interview Miss Arya Singh. She's an astounding performer, a talent. I'm really looking forward to Sunday coming around. Again, the show and the event is Sunday, August 14th. Doors open at 4 p.m. and the show will start roughly around 5 p.m. Miss Arya is our out of town spotlight artist of the evening. So definitely come out and support her and get to know her the best way you guys can. And Arya, it's been great having you here with us. I thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was so fun. I appreciate you and all that you're doing for the music community.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, welcome back. It's your boy Hardy Boy Lamar Hardy coming to you guys with another one of our artists, performers that are performing at the Two Fingers Just Flow With It event. Mr. Sir Harvey Fitz is one of our main three features that we have performing. So I'll allow him just to introduce himself and tell himself a little bit about you all. So, Mr. Sir Harvey Fitz, how you doing?
Hey there, I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking. And for all of you who are listening, hi, my name is Harvey. I am a full-time creative. This is Plan A through This Has to Work. My mediums include but are not limited to photography, videography, creative consulting, spoken word poetry, acting, and event production as well.
Awesome. And kind of going into it. So, what was your inspiration? You know, a lot of people talk on, making sure you have a backup plan, but you, like you said, this is plan A through this has to work. So, what was your inspiration and what about this particular industry made you believe that this is something that you wanted, something that you could do?
Uh, Well, most recently, the zombie apocalypse that we are still very much in,
Hmm.
um,
The
despite a
panoramic.
few privileged Karens and government officials' blatant denial of it. Uh, right beforehand, um, was working in my field. I was a events coordinator at an art center here in DC, and everything was going great. And then, boom, the zombie apocalypse happened, and uh, it was very much a situation where uh, the mayor said we got to shut everything down, and so fiscally, it doesn't make sense to keep an events coordinator on salary when
Mm,
by mandate we can't have events.
right.
And so, with that being said, I was confined to the four walls of my house, as many of us were, those who were actually being compliant at the time. And it literally forced me to sit down and re examine uh, my life and career and go back and pull out that to do list that I had been negating the past few years. A lot of things on that to-do list was a lot of creative things that I should have been doing, but
Hmm.
because of life and not properly prioritizing things, I just never got to. And so throughout that 2.5 years, I actually sat down and mapped out the trajectory, and everything thankfully started to fall into place.
Wow, that is impressive. And like you said, for those who abided by the rules, confined within those four walls, a lot of creativity came up. So within that creativity and that mapping of everything, so did your brand and your author and your book and everything that you do, did that come during that period, or were you already planning to write a book and create this brand for yourself as well? Like, how did that come about?
I had started writing this book uh, maybe at least 7 years ago. Um,
Wow.
and I
Wow.
say at least, like at the very least 7 years ago. It had dropped in my spirit to write a book, but um, as a person who is very much their own worst critic, and at the time being absolutely governed by a crippling fear of inadequacy, I put it on the shelf, and
Yeah.
despite all of the encouraging words from, your peers and loved ones and the positive pushing, oh, you should do this, you should do that, I didn't fully believe it. And so I never got around to actually completing it. And then again, like I said, when the zombie apocalypse happened, I literally had nothing else to do.
Right.
So it's like, okay, it's literally just me and the elephant in the room at this point. There's no distractions. There's no deterrence. So it's time to organize and get yourself together. And it was interesting because when I had made the conscious decision that I was going to get back on track, it was maybe um, just under a month before everything shut down, and I had ran into Kanika Jakarta,
Hmm.
and I let her know. I was like, I have really good news. I'm actually going to do it because she had been one of the major champions in my corner concerning the book. And as soon as I told her, she politely smiled, reached down into her purse, and pulled out her business card and handed it to me and said, "I've been waiting on you. I am going to publish your book
Right.
through my publishing company. Email your manuscript to my assistant." I was
Wow.
like, wow,
That is a
wow.
blessing. And so, and kind of, and I'm going to elaborate on two parts on that. After I elaborate, can you tell us the name of the book and what kind of book it is? But Kaniki was a she was a champion 2021. What is it, like OG champion female poet of the year, and
Yes,
and,
she
and she's
was.
also a publicist.
Hmm.
And I think you're nominated for a couple DMV awards as well, right?
Yes, from what I have been told, this year is a record-breaking 6 nominations.
Wow,
Um,
phenomenal,
yeah,
phenomenal, phenomenal.
it's I'm overwhelmingly excited about that. Just to be included within this caliber of creatives, that's that's an honor in and of itself because many of them I am inspired by
Mhm.
and I admire and have admired over the years. And so to be included in the number with them, it's an amazing feeling.
That's one thing I do love about, being from the DMV is like we really don't have to go too far to get our inspirations, right? Where a lot of our inspirations come from being at home and those around us. So where we are kind of fortunate in that sense to have as many creatives and conscious minded people as we do here. But let's elaborate on that book she published. So what is the name of the book? um I think it's a specific style, is like 4 chapters of haikus. Is that what it is?
Yes. So the book is titled To Haikum It May Concern, and the subtitle is Living Your Best Life Even When Mercury's in Retrograde. And it is a collection of haiku poems that I've written over the years. For those who may not know, a haiku is a Japanese short poem. So short, in fact, that it's only 3 lines long and 17 syllables total. Traditionally, the first line is 5 syllables, the second line is 7 syllables, and the third line again is 5 syllables, and they are about like flowers and trees and flora and fauna and stuff like that. But then there's a different type of haiku, which is the Shinryu, which are the best way to describe the ones that I have written for this particular book. It just deals with a wide variety of topics. For the sake of this book, it is broken up into 4 chapters: live, laugh, love, and repeat.
I like that, and it's got a kind of got a what's it called, a not a chorus, but like, oh yeah, catchy kind of feeling to it. Live, laugh, love, and repeat. I like that. Um, so yes, I'm really excited about that. That's actually probably one of the biggest things that has influenced me and inspired me to invite you to the show. And I want you to be a part of this. Like
Oh wow.
we spoke on it, but your creativity and the fact that you wrote an entire book of haikus, I don't think people realize like writing in itself is a difficult thing because you got to be vulnerable and let yourself, bleed out from the pen to the paper to the pad. But trying to stay within the constraints or the rules of haikus is difficult. And you wrote 4 chapters worth, and that was just by far the most like incredible thing I had ever heard. from
Oh
anybody.
wow,
And then
thank
on
you.
top of that, it's comical, right? Like you deliver such real messages through comedy. And I think, anytime I see you perform, whether that's, at Busboys and Poets, Pure Poetry Live, anywhere, you bring the same energy, the same enthusiasm, the same spirit with you all the time. So that's something that is really influential on me. And that's why I definitely had to have you as one of my 3 pillars for this show. Um,
Wow,
so
thank you. Appreciate that.
absolutely. So I guess my last question, and I'm gonna wrap it up on you. So for you, what does success look like? What legacy do you want to leave behind? How do you want people to remember you when it's all said and done and you feel like you reached where the pinnacle that you needed to reach? I know I'm throwing
uh,
it. I'm trying to.
wow. Okay. But let me see. What does success look like? To me and for me, success looks like freedom,
Mm,
regardless of what area you are striving to be successful in. It's freedom. To be able to go and do as you please respectfully as it relates to your passions and your destiny. It's freedom.
hmm
And the other part of the question, you said what
Legacy, your legacy.
my legacy, whenever I leave this realm, my legacy will definitely be one of love, that I loved everyone.
Hmm
Um, some from a further distance than others, but genuinely loved everyone. And uh, when I take my last breath, it will hopefully be still connected to the mindset that I never stopped.
hmm
Because the goal for me is not a singular destination. The goal for me is to keep going until I can't go anymore. The goal for me is to continue dreaming bigger dreams than the ones that become reality.
hmm
There is no ceiling. And
Okay.
so, with that being said, that's what I aim to encourage others around me to do. I mean, it's never enough in terms of learning, in terms of living, in terms of becoming the best version of you that you can be. There's always room for improvement. There's always
Mhm.
room for greater works. And so that's definitely the legacy that I want to live, that I want to live and that I want to leave.
Awesome. And that's no better way said. That is real and to the core. Mr. Harvey Fitz, before we go, how can we find you if you have any socials, any websites, anything that people can find you and look you up at?
Yes, absolutely. So my website is www.sirharveyfitz.com, and that's FITZ. And whatever social media platform that you have, it's Sir Harvey Fitz. It's all the same everywhere you go. That's a quick branding tip for any up and coming artist. Just make it as easy as possible for people to find you. So it's Sir Harvey Fitz everywhere that there is social media.
Awesome. And just to let everyone know that even though he said it, all the artists and performers that are going to be there that evening, all their stuff will be posted, on our platforms, on our social media platforms at Two Fingers. So you'll have all the information. You can find them there. I'll make sure to tag them so it'll be easy access, and then they'll be listed in the comments and pinned to the top of any videos that we post as well under the podcast. So again, we just want to thank you, Mr. Harvey Fitz, for joining us. We're so excited for those of you guys who are planning to come or who are coming. Again, the Just Flow the event is Sunday, August 14th. All right, doors open at 4 o'clock. Show time will start at 5 p.m. And we're just gonna have a good night, man. It's gonna be filled with many vibes. Hopefully, we can end your weekend the right way, or be a fueling rejuvenation, leading you into your following week coming after that. So we thank you again, Mr. Harvey Fitz, for being with us. And with that, we are out on there.
Thank you so very much for having me.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are back with another featured artist who will be performing at the Just Flow With It Poetry Spoken Word Night. We're really excited for it. Again, this event is happening Sunday, August 14th, right around the Dulles Airport in Virginia in the DMV. So, first and foremost, Ambery, welcome. We are so glad to have you here with us. Glad you could be a part of us. How's
Thank
everything going for you?
um, I'm be honest, life is kicking my ass right now, but I'm good. I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm glad to be here. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely, and that's the honest truth. We please be truthful. Life is kicking everybody's ass.
Everybody
Trust
ass.
you me, boy. Adversity is real out here.
It is.
So you know, first of all, I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. So I actually came across Ambery. I went to a Busboys and Poets open mic evening on a Monday in Shirlington, Virginia, and she was out there with a couple other, I guess, close friends of hers, Nico and T Streeter. They were out there, and the three of them, they really inspired me. But and I hear them all the times, but Ambry has something about the way she spoke and the elegance and the way she could, deliver truth so bluntly, but in a very elegant way where it was like, damn, she like hit me like real with that. So that's why, I definitely
Oh,
had to have her a part of our event to, bring that side of it. Again, a black queen here with us as well. So Ambry, if you don't mind, tell us who you are, like who are you are, where you're from, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
first of all, thank you. I really appreciate that. So I am Ambery. I am a poet, author, speaker, um, just a regular normal person trying to get through life. I'm from Baltimore, and poetry, that's my thing right now. I've been writing poetry. I wrote my first poem in the sixth grade, and I have been writing ever since. The day after your show is actually will be my first will be my year of doing spoken word. So I'm kind of a
Ooh.
newbie.
Well,
Um,
congratulations.
thank you. But yeah, I'm like it took me a while to actually push myself to do it because I am like super shy. I don't do public speaking. But just over the year, I was just seeing myself just grow so much and being more confident in this. So I'm really excited about this.
Awesome. And kind of just to emphasize specific parts in that, she's from Baltimore. I'm the biggest Ravens fans there is. Flock. And so just to let everyone knows who don't know, now you know. Um, and you said this, you're coming up on a year for your anniversary of actually being a, you know,
Spoken word
full-time
artist.
or professional spoken word artist.
Yeah.
That is huge. I'm actually I actually probably really just started like speaking publicly at places probably like what, back in March or February, probably the evening that I met y'all, to be honest, because for
Oh,
the longest,
wow.
yeah, I used to, like you, much like you, I've been writing since I was young. But sports and conferences and everything, I was involved in everything growing up. My parents had this black man in America persona, but uh, I had like a traumatic experience in high school, so I kind of shut myself away and never open back up
Mm,
again. But like I said, and I even texted you that night and told you that you actually inspired me to get back out there on stage. I had hit you that same night, so that is
yes,
awesome.
I remember.
So you spoke on who you were, where you're from, and whatnot. Let's flip to the author side. I know you have this brand, and I believe you have a book that you wrote, The Woman I'm Becoming. Can you tell us a little bit more
Yes.
about your brand and your book and what that all means to you?
So the brand and the book, they tie in together. The brand started first, The Woman I'm Becoming. It just stemmed from a random poem one day I wrote on for Women's Day back in like 2018. Um, I'm just I'm just a supporter of women just being the best versions of themselves, and the journey on womanhood is consistent, and I just want to push just encourage people to continually grow. I am trying to incorporate men. I don't want them to feel left out. So right now I do have like merch that's unisex too, but I'm working
Mhm.
on incorporating more things for men because I want it to be like, for everybody. But
Right,
right now the focus is on women.
right. You got a
Uh
niche market. You got a niche
yeah.
market.
The book, um the book is my baby. When I sat down and I was ready to write it, I felt like the book was maybe 90% done already. I just literally took all the poems that I had in my possession from childhood, teenage years, college, therapy sessions,
Mm,
adulthood, and everything just kind of like flowed in the story. So that's how like I know like it was really meant for me to do this because it just was extremely smooth, like a smooth
mhm,
process. Even to publishing, it was just everything just flowed. So I knew that was my assignment. God wanted me to do, and I fulfilled it. So it's about just what we as women go through. And I've had men pick up the book too and read it and was touched by it and moved by it as well. But I think it can hit home for anybody, really.
mhm. And so, kind of just elaborating on the brand, the book, and your poetry. What was the inspiration for all this? Like, what really? At what point did you be like, "Hey, Ambery, this is something that you need to do. This is a journey that God has placed you on." What was your inspiration, and how did you move forward with that?
Um, Pain. I
Yeah.
learned that pain if you allow it, it'll birth something beautiful. And I'll say back in like 2017, I hit a brick wall. Now I have a couple poems that talks about it in the book, but I was completely like lost, like to the point where I didn't want to live anymore. It was like I was in a really dark place, and I didn't think I was ever going to get out of it. But I had stopped writing for a while, like once I got in the military, and then once that season happened, I went straight to writing again, and I read a lot of books. So when I was coming out of it, and I started therapy, then I just realized like how much reading and writing like was helping me. And I
Mhm.
just had a thought about writing a book, and I was like, I don't know where that thought came from, but I'm like, I'm like struggling right now. There's no way I can like write a book. But the thought wouldn't go away. Like a year later, a couple years later, I just kept seeing signs, and then I started a blog, and people were saying like, you really need to write a book. And once I got serious and like really sat down and like planned out days, that's when everything just started flowing. And I really wanted to do a self help book. I didn't have an intention of doing poetry, a poetry book, but it happened. So that was God's plan. But I definitely say pain was the catalyst for this.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. I hear you on that. And I'm glad that you actually took the step because a lot of people tend to shy away from things that they're either uncomfortable with or unfamiliar with, or sometimes you read books from other people and you be like, wow, these people really write books. Do I even have the
Right.
the skill set or the capability to write a book for people that what I'm saying? Like, it's like the
Yeah.
old, you're sensitive about your shit, right? Like, you like, do I even spill out and be vulnerable to people? So I'm glad you did that again. Like, I'm a fan. Like
Oh,
I said,
thank
I've been
you.
following you and keeping up to track with everything you do. So that's great. So I got about two questions left for you.
Okay.
My one of my This is actually my favorite question, and I kind of want to know because I saw something, and I'm gonna see if you're gonna elaborate on it, but we're gonna see. Um, who is Ambery and who is a glowing poet?
So I like this question. I've never even thought about this or got asked this question. Um, so I'm going to say a glowing poet is Ambery's highest self.
Mm,
I just had a realization a couple of days ago. I was having a moment, um, and I'm trying to manage, my depression and like anxiety and things like that. And, Ambery sometimes, when she's going through that, she likes to stay stuck in the bed and, mope around and stuff like
right,
that.
right,
And a
right.
situation had hit me, and I had, a ticket to go to an open mic out Virginia. And, Ambery wanted to stay home and cry. But a glowing poet was like, no, sis, we got to get up. We got to keep moving and fighting through this. And, I got on the stage, and like my heart, I'm not gonna lie, my heart was in shambles, but I still, pushed through. And Orville was actually there, and he said
Mm,
like once he got, I didn't even know he was there, but when I got off the stage, he told me that was like the best performance he ever saw, and how he noticed that I like completely transformed. And I was telling my mother, the poem that I did, like I needed to hear those words in that moment. And she said, sometimes when we're right, when we write, that's our highest self speaking to us. And I never looked at it like that
Hmm.
until she said
Wow.
that. So even like yesterday, I was practicing for your event, and some of the poems that I'm doing is like it was hitting me because like I need to hear this like right now. Like I don't know what I was going through when I wrote it, but I feel
Mhm.
like right now I needed these words. So ever since those moments, it's like a glowing poet is just where I am like inspired to be, where I'm like trying to push myself to be, and um, yeah, my higher self.
I love it, and that's the old church saying, right? Pastors walking
Yeah,
down the street today. You walking down your own street today with your own words, kind of being your medicine, the
yeah.
things that's rejuvenating you. So that's a glowing poet, your higher self. So what is Ambery outside of poetry? Who is Ambery? Who is she?
I who is Ambery? That is a very good question.
Like, what does she like to do? What's her hobbies? What's something like that?
Ambery is kind of a mixture of seriousness and playfulness. Amber is a dancer. That's like her passion since childhood, besides writing. She likes to she likes to isolate sometimes. But she likes to be around like her close friends. She likes to skate. Um, and she is just working on just becoming the best version of herself in every season she's in, and just getting closer to God.
Amen. I hear that, and that was actually the answer I was waiting for. The closer to God too. We never want to disregard Him, but
Yeah.
definitely the skating part, because I remember, probably, like I said, like, you were very inspirational to me, like literally that first week. I don't know what happened. I was going through some stuff myself, so like hearing you and just kind of like following you was amazing. That first week I
Yeah.
saw you skating, I was like, oh, she skates too. Like I was having like a grand old time. I was so happy. So I was like, I wonder, like, if that's something like she really gets down with, and like if that's really something
Yes.
that she does. So I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to see that, you
Yes, I love skating.
you have a, yeah, definitely. But I love the fact that you have an alter ego, right? Like I have a couple alter egos, and those come with like different sports and stuff like that. But personally, I have an alter ego where, you know, I have to put on not a facade, but a different, right, an armor to go out into the world, right? And you gotta be able to face the
Yeah.
world, especially as a black person here in America. But when you're at home, you spoke on it. Like, you rather just lay in bed and either cry or just not feel it, or just living or be in a slump. And sometimes you know
Yeah.
people talk about that ego is bad, but sometimes it actually motivates you and gets you out of a lot of things. So
Hmm.
um last question, and I'm gonna let you go. So in the end, for Amory, a glowing poet, whether that's tomorrow, next week, next year, 5 years, 100 years, 30 years, what does success look like to you, and what legacy does she want to leave behind for people to either grasp, resonate with, be inspired by? Like, what is something that you want us to know fully about you?
Um, let's see.
I know I'm
So
hitting you too deep.
success,
My bad, my bad.
success to me is living in your purpose, walking in your purpose, knowing what your purpose is. And I feel like I may not know the extent, but I feel like I'm starting off in it. Um, and I feel like success to me also means allowing God to use you. And just by getting so much like feedback from people like you when you reached out to me that night, it helps me like to keep going and to know that I'm on the right path. Like sometimes when I get messages like the one you sent and like from other people, I literally print them out because I have my days where I'm like second guessing myself and I'm questioning, and I literally go back and read those messages. So even I feel like wherever I go, if what I say blesses one person, that's success to me. Um, you might have to tell me the other question. I forgot that quick.
No, I mean, it's what is success, or what legacy do you plan to leave
Legacy.
behind?
Um,
Like with your poetry, with your books, or anything? Like, what about the words that you speak to us do you want us to, walk away from?
my biggest takeaway is loving yourself.
Mm,
Um, that has been a struggle for me all my life, and I feel like, you know, things didn't start getting better for me until I actually learned to love myself, and get to know myself, on a deeper level. So I think that would be my biggest takeaway. You gotta love yourself. You can't, try to love anybody else or try to, make anybody else love you or even search for love. You gotta know that you love yourself and know how God views you and loves you as well.
absolutely. And, again, as a black woman, that's, I grew up in a household full of aunts and girl cousins and sisters, so I'm around y'all all the time, and that would be one of the biggest things I would say is, especially because, you know throughout history and life, you guys are probably the most discriminated,
Yeah.
the the most disadvantaged in every aspect of life, professionally or personally. So, that is huge for you to say. And before we close, can you give everybody your socials and everything, where they can find you, where they can find your books, and anything, other platforms that you want us to locate you at?
Yes, so I am on Instagram and TikTok at a glowing poet. My website is The Woman I Am Becoming. That's where all my merch is. I have some poems up there and interviews I've done. Yeah, those are probably the main ones. My book is on the website too. It's also on Amazon, The Woman I Am Becoming. Um, the store Nubian Human is carrying it as well online and, in DC and Baltimore. And, yeah, check me out.
Definitely. And we will have not only Ambery's but everyone else's social media, merchandise, websites up on the IG account and all our other accounts as well. So you'll be able to find them there under us as well. We want to thank Miss Ambery Bowman, a glowing poet, for coming in with us. Please, you all, please go buy these tickets. Please come out and support these local performers and artists. They are beyond talented, and I promise you, you guys will not want to miss out on this show. They're gonna come with a lot of stuff. So I'm excited. I know she's excited, and
Yes.
we're just gonna make it happen. So August 14th on a Sunday, come right after church. Get your either close your weekend out right or start your week off right. So it doesn't matter which way you want to go about it, but they're gonna definitely have some fuel for your soul. So thank you again, Miss Embry, and
Thank you.
we look forward to seeing you on Sunday.
Likewise. Thanks.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are back with another performer, another artist that is going to be at our show this upcoming Sunday, August 14th, starting at 4 p.m. Doors open at 4. The show actually starts at 5 p.m. But I'm here with Mr. Orville, the poet, an entrepreneur, a creative genius, just a man to look up to. Mr. Orville, how you doing this evening?
Wow, I'm great. I'm honored. That was a lot. That's dope. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We speak truths here. So before we get into the questions, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Um, name's Orville, just like the popcorn. That's my real name. Um, I am a lover of art, a fan first. Also a writer, spoken word artist. Um, write music, songs, poems, jingles, slogans. Um, and I'm also a social architect. Um, I run and own Pure Poetry Live, which is an entertainment company, um, and we create spaces for people to share, different matters of the heart using various forms of art. So that's a little bit about me. I really love this stuff.
Mm. And we appreciate that. And We're actually going to dive deeper into some of the things you stated, but before we get there, for you personally, what was your inspiration for poetry and spoken word? Like, where did it come from? When did you know that this was something you really wanted to do?
It I Let me see. I'd say early on. I I witnessed spoken word being done as a teenager, and I always knew I wanted to do something with the arts, whether it be music or songs or what have you, or writer, ghostwriter, something like that. But when I experienced poetry, it was different. It was like a bomb went off in my head. I remember it like yesterday. I was at, I think it was at a church. It was at church, and like a litany group came through, and kind of did these poems and acted them out and stuff, and I'm sitting there amazed, like, yo, like, is everybody else seeing this?
Right.
And I'm there amazed, stuck in awe, and everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, it was cool, but it really changed. It was something else went off in me, and that's when I really realized that this is why we need to be exposed to so much more things, because you really don't know what you like if you've never been exposed to it. So
Mm,
I think seeing it done in person at a very high level was like life changing for me.
truly, truly. And I mean, you said it right, right? Like when you're exposed to new things, you have a new perspective on it, and that just comes with the change in life. So I appreciate that aspect on that. So kind of getting around that idea of inspiration, for me personally, I used to write a lot, especially at a young age, performing things in church and stuff. And I kind of shied away or pulled back, with high school and college football and things like that. But actually, we're going to go into it. I went to one of your shows, and that actually got me back into doing open mics and stuff like that. So with that being said, talk to me about your business, Pure Poetry Live. Talk to me about the brand, what you guys do. Like, how did that come about?
And so real quick before I get into that, right? I don't want to shy of what you just said, brother. That is the mission of what I'm doing. My mission, I believe, I'm here to inspire, right? I'm here to do what I love so vigorously that it inspires you to do what you love.
Mm,
And if you came to open mic and then you like, you know what, I'm gonna get back into it, job done. And that's what I deem a success. So, but to get into the business side, pure poetry really came from, being a lover of the arts. And, you know, I was a student. A lot of people don't know this. I went to every open mic you could go to in and around the DMV for about 2.5, almost 3 years
mm,
before I ever said, "Yeah, I want to host." You know, a good brother of mine, Cedric Hand, Just Me, goes by the name Just Me. He saw it in me early. He was like, "Yo, you should host. You'll be a dope host." And I was like, "What? I just know one poem. Like, I'm trying to get these poems down, bro." So
right.
hosting, like, that's a whole nother bag. He was like, "I hear you, but you'd be great at it." And this is a brother I truly admired and still do. And if he sees this in me, then shoot, might want to give it a try. So,
Right.
yeah, that's how that came, and I got an opportunity to put the notes and the data I've collected over the years going to these different open mics, like what I would do differently, what I would like, and then I did it, and now we're here.
Right. And I think you just celebrated your 10-year anniversary, correct?
10 year anniversary, bro.
Wow. A whole
Decade.
decade, brother. That's,
People don't
I
be
mean,
staying at their job for a decade, much less, you know what I mean? So,
and you're
really,
doing
really
this as a
grateful.
black man too. That's the not only do you have a business of expressive art and you're inspiring young and old and first of all, people, let me tell you, these events are no normal events, especially when it's with like featured artists or catered to a specific day or holiday. Like it's next level, and I don't think I've missed one since I've started, low key. Like I think once
Yeah,
I started back in January or February, I've been
you've been
probably
on
at
it.
all of them.
You've been on the ball.
I've been on them. So, but that's what that does. The environment is like that, and I love being in a community where it's us. You know what I'm saying? You get to see us in different shades, different glories, different beauties, different perspective. But you reach out to other communities, cultures, ethnicities, and races. I've seen people come from Philly, South Carolina, I don't even Texas. They come from all over to be in this man's stuff. So it's incredible.
Man, I appreciate that. And, you know, I really think this, it happens like that and it's full force right now because um, I've never, I know this stuff is bigger than me. You know what I mean? I am not poetry in its entirety. I am not spoken word in its entirety. The way I do it isn't the only way to do it, the end all be all. There's so many different ways and structures and vantage points and perspectives. And I'm really a fan first. You know, like I said, like I'm a fan first. So I'm a fan of a lot of different artists that I think have you know come through over the years and you know made it a place where you know you're gonna hear something dope. We've had the likes of Kariga Bailey out of Oakland, California, by way of Sacramento, California. We've had Black Ice. I mean, that brother needs no introduction.
Oh, nice.
We've had Jasmine Mans. She needs no introduction.
Right.
And the list goes on and on. We've had Rudy Francisco. So, you know, we just wanted to be a place where, you know, various matters of the heart can be experienced, witnessed, received, and you know, take this with you. Different, various forms of arts where it can reach everyone where they are. You know, so
You're
I
just a
appreciate
vessel.
you saying that, bro. Yeah, just a vessel, bro. This is so much bigger than me. So yeah, I
So,
definitely appreciate it, man.
hey, again, like I said, all of you guys, all the performers have been influential to me in so many ways. You guys, your own small businesses being who you are. So I'm always down to support and whatnot. But with that being said, this is a question that I like to ask because I know we get so focused on our career and being hustlers and making things work, but your persona, like who are you outside of the pen and pad, outside of Pure Poetry Live, outside of the bus boys and poets? Like who are you just as Orville?
Man, I'm so chill, bro. I'm so chill. I'm a regular dude. I love playing 2K, PlayStation Nation.
Yep.
No disrespect to Xbox, but
No, we don't do
PlayStation Nation
Microsoft.
for me.
Sony only.
Sony only, you know. Man, I love playing basketball. That was my first love. I just knew I was going to be in the league. Um, I played in high school. I didn't play for my high school team because I grew up Seventh-day Adventist. So we went to church on Saturdays, and they had two-a-days on Saturdays. And if you couldn't participate in the practices, then you couldn't play on the team. So I made the team, but couldn't play. Right. So
Mm,
um, I I almost got a scholarship to Georgetown University, but I didn't score high enough on the SATs. So
man,
so
I know
now
that
I'm
vividly.
like, damn, right? So a lot of people like, yo, I don't know if I've said this out loud before, like this story right here. But so you know, I didn't score well on the SAT, so that was no longer an option. So I went to community college, then realized, you know, I actually don't want to go to school. I want to start doing what I'm doing. But it ruined my basketball dreams, you know what I mean? So I never thought I was going to find something that I loved as much as basketball. And lo and behold, boop, poetry. There it is.
This
Dare
is
I
it.
say it's surpassed the love I had or have for basketball. I still play all the time though, but this
I
poetry,
mean,
it never turns off.
right. And that's one thing I tell people that all the time, you know, I love basketball. Football was my thing, and much like your story, I actually probably missed like 2 or 3 questions to get a scholarship to Columbia University in New York. Like I
Oh man, so your life
literally,
is so much different, bro.
literally just missed by like 2 questions. I would have been full scholarship to Columbia, um,
Yeah.
but I much like you, like football was my life. But then there's there's a time limit on that, right? Like
Yep.
at some point, that love has to come to an end, and it's painful. Whereas poetry and things like this, we could take that all the way to the grave, and then be remembered beyond. So,
Your
definitely on
words
that.
will live on. Yep.
Definitely on that. So you kind of answered one of my other questions. So I'm gonna get to this. So you've actually, and I want to make this known, like here in the DMV, we're our own version of a melting pot. And the greatest thing is you don't have to go anywhere to be influenced, to be impacted by people. You can get all that right here in the district. So with that being said, Orville, aren't you nominated for a couple of awards this year
Oh,
in the DMV, poetic arts area? Am I right?
yeah, you are right, man. And
Okay.
super honored. And I'm gonna be a being with you, man. As a matter of fact, this week I think I need to make a post about that. I think to be nominated is the win.
Yeah.
In every category, sorry, excuse me, every category I'm in, I know one or two, if not all, the people I'm nominated with, right? So because I'm such a fan first, and I want to see the culture shift and move forward anyway. Like whoever gets picked, it's a win because look at what we're highlighting. Look at who we're highlighting. You know what I mean? So big shout out to DMV Renaissance. Much love and respect to the work they're doing in such a daunting task as, picking one artist per category. I forgot how many categories they have, but again, because like you said, it's such a melting pot in such a big place. That's a lot of people to go through and know. So, and big shout out to them. Big shout out to the supporters and fans and friends that nominated me for those categories. And y'all go check them out. I think I'm nominated for Host of the Year, for Platform of the Year, and Male Poet of the Year. And you know personally that those are three things I don't take lightly at all. Like I take them seriously. So it's always a blessing and an honor to be highlighted by your peers, and especially where you reside. I'm from the DMV. I am the DMV. You know what I mean, by way of Jamaica, but. This where I'm at. I'm here. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, and that's huge because, and I'm a huge advocate of giving your flowers above ground, right? Making sure y'all know this. You and Sir Harvey, I think Harvey has the record breaking 6 nominees, which is crazy. It's never been heard of before. So he's in 6 different categories, and both of y'all are actually gonna be at this show. So that just lets y'all know as the audience what kind of people, influential people, kind of pioneers that we have coming out here, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, bro.
All the
So Harvey
trailblazers,
dog too. You got them haikus for you, boy. Woo.
man. So with that being said, last thing, and I'm gonna let you go, boss. When it's all said and done, right? Like when I mean, you don't ever really walk away from it, but legacy, how do you want to be remembered? Like what is the end all be all for you?
The end all be all is this. It's a quote I have. I put it on a t-shirt, and consistency. If you know me, there's two things I want whenever you see me feature, host, wherever. Know that consistency will change whatever league you're in. If you are consistent enough, you can change the league you're in. Now, consistently good, because if you're consistently bad, you're going to change the league you're in too, but it's going to be your detriment. But your consistency will change whatever league you're in. If you're building a house and every day you put a cinder block on top of a cinder block eventually. No matter what anyone says, time, whatever, you're gonna get there, right? So that's number one. Number two, man, look, why are we waiting to do anything? Why are we waiting to do anything? We were forced, and well, let me not say forced. We could not go outside for about 2 years.
Yep.
That was like prison for me, bro. I'm a people person. You know what I mean? Like staying in the house was detrimental to my mental health, but it showed me a lot of things that I needed to work on, right? So get out here and get busy, brush your passion off, get to it. That thing, I hope every time anyone hears me when I'm dead and gone, all of that, yo, this is a dude that loved what he did, loved people, and went hard. Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
That's who my mom raised me to be. That's who my mom was grooming me to be a host before I even knew.
Right.
My brothers and I talk about this whenever we had a family function of, we're going over such and such house or whatever. It was our house. And mom would always cater to everyone's specific things. These aunts were vegan. These uncles couldn't eat certain things. Certain people enjoy these games versus these games. So all of these little idiosyncrasies that I didn't think I was paying attention to, I definitely was. It's ingrained in me, and that's how I move with my business. And that's why I feel like Big Bro could see, yo, hey, you could be a good host. You know what I mean? Could see these things in me early, man. And my mom, the first poem I ever wrote was my mom saying, hey, we were going to my grand aunt's retirement, Joan, and she was like, hey, you should do something for her. And I was like, what? She was like, I don't know, write a poem or something. That's how my first poem was written. So I used to think mom just said that happenstance, like, I don't know, write a poem or something. But now I really feel like she saw certain things already in me and was like, that was her way of creatively, not forcing, but guiding. Like, I don't know, write a poem,
Right.
And so now, man, my one wish is that I could thank her for that.
Absolutely.
See what I'm saying? But rest in peace, Mom.
Absolutely. For sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And like you went back to that was heavy. But when you said that other thing about the pandemic, I have a mantra that's just like no excuse, just produce, right? Like
Ooh.
everyone you can make a million reasons, or there can always be something to stop you. And especially as Black people, we've had to face so much adversity historically in life. But at some point, you know you got to stop making that excuse and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we don't keep pushing the boundaries, if we don't keep chasing that finish line that keeps getting pushed away from us, you know what I'm saying? Like, if my grandparents and my parents and them didn't keep doing what they're doing, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So
Facts.
I can't do that to the next generation. I can't give up all this work they gave us just because I don't feel like educating, our allies or those other members anymore, just because I'm tired of facing traumas and stuff. So that's why I do this platform. That's why I'm always, reaching out to you and everybody and anyone who needs exposure. I'm like, if I'm influenced by these people, everyone else needs to. And so I'm gonna do my part and do what I can. So with all that being said, enough about that. Give us your socials, your websites, everything that people can find you and keep up with you.
Man, so again, thank you for the work you're doing, brother. It's not easy work, it's tasking work, but it is necessary work. So I don't want to, smooth over what you just said. I definitely genuinely appreciate that. So if you are so impressed, you could check me out in my business at Orville the Poet. That's on Instagram, and it's spelled OrvilleThePoet. Orville the Poet. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, also Pure Poetry Live on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also .com, purepoetrylive.com, also orvillethepoet.com. So yeah, those are all the spots you can check me out at. We have an open mic every first Thursday of the month downtown Silver Spring at the Cowley's rooftop. Uh, Lamar was just there Thursday. He can tell you about it. But don't take our word for it. Check it out for yourself. You know, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to remind you all, every one of these artists and performers will be at the Breakers Sky Lounge August 14th, which is a Sunday at
Yeah.
4 p.m. Doors open. Show starts at 5 p.m. If you need to end your week or your weekend off smooth or get a jump start and get rejuvenated for a new week, please let these artists and performers fuel your soul. You will not be disappointed. And we want to thank you again, Orville the Poet, for being here with us. And I look forward to hearing what you're presenting.
Absolutely, man. You heard that when I did Thursday.
Oh,
I
I
got
ain't gonna tell it. I ain't gonna say it.
yeah, don't say it.
I
But
ain't gonna say it. But
I got some stuff up my sleeve for that one.
yeah, I'm ready.
The VA, I'm coming not to play at all.
That's good because your host might got a couple some up his sleeve too. We don't know.
Hey,
We don't know.
the more the merrier.
All right, man. Thank you again. I know you got a busy schedule, so go ahead and do what you're doing. We thank you again for being here with us.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Thank you guys so much. Hey, make sure you tap in to the Two Fingers podcast, my man Lamar, man.
Thank you. We
Yes,
out.
sir.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We are here with another guest with us this evening. She is actually a close friend of mine. We actually got to grow together and talk a lot and spend some time together at the university we both went to, Bentley University. Shout out to New England, shout out to the Northeast. But who I have with us today, she's going to be our guest speaker coming all the way from Boston. Give it up for Miss Essmaa. How you doing?
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Awesome. It's really good to kind of get back in communications and actually link back up. I remember probably you're a year behind me, right? So my sophomore year, and pretty much I think junior year is when we kind of grew a little bit closer together. I was actually up there that summer and we were hanging out around with the crew. But it's good to speak with you again.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thanks for shouting out Bentley, the good old days. But now I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So Essmaa, could you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, and what is it that you do?
Yeah, of course. So my name is actually Essmaa Team. I go by Essmaa. I was born and raised in Boston. I'm first generation American. My family actually immigrated from Algeria in the 90s. So a lot of my work is rooted in my culture and where I come from and my experiences growing up. I'm a creative, I'm a writer, I'm an author, I'm a visionary. I'm like a very ideas type of person. So I love soccer. So yeah, I'm kind of like all around, but yeah.
Awesome. And kind of let's go in more depth of your creativity. Like what is your inspiration behind your poetry and your creative thinking and everything you do? Like what inspires you to do, everything that you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm gonna take us all the way back to when I really discovered my love for poetry. I discovered my love of words and wordplay back when I was about like 7 or 8 years old in elementary school. And it was like this English class that we had. I think it was ELA, like English Language Arts. And my teacher had us do poetry and like poems, and we would always write new poems. And I felt like this was something that I could finally express myself in a unique way, in a way that sounds good and nice to the ears. And so my teacher told me like, wow, you actually like you have a talent in this. And that's just sort of where I found my solace. And
that's where I really discovered it. And so I love reading books, and so a lot of my inspiration comes from authors like Toni Morrison. I love Toni Morrison. Her style in literature is very elite and unmatched, and I love her writing technique. So somebody like that, I really I look up to. Of course, Maya Angelou was somebody when I fell in love with her when I was young too.
Hmm.
Audre Lorde is another really, really great poet. And I really relate to her because she talks a lot about the intersectionalities within her own identity. And a lot of my poetry is really rooted in my experiences and the intersectionalities of my own identity and the different levels of life that I experience at different speeds. So that's really where my poetry and my love for that is rooted. But I write a lot about societal issues. Write a lot about my own experiences and what I observe. And I really want my words to be to be inspirational. I really want them to raise awareness. And I really want them to create positive impact. So that's why I love performing. I love performing in front of different crowds because I want to be able to tap into different individuals who might relate or it might open their eyes to something new that they haven't experienced yet.
Hmm.
So a lot of that is just what I go through in life, and that's just sort of my outlet.
Awesome. I love that. And I do like the fact that you brought in some artists that inspired you in performance. Like for me personally, of course, I think Maya Angelou might be like, the fairy godmother to a lot of
Mhm.
people of poetry. But, for me, I have the black side, but then, growing up, being able to grow up in a suburban area, I was afforded that from my family, kind of getting, the government jobs and whatnot. I was able to listen to, the Langston Hughes and,
Mhm.
that crowd. But then, you know, I for me personally, I really enjoy like classic literature, right? Like, like the patriarchy, like the Italian style, William Shakespearean, Edgar Allan Poe, like those
Mhm.
dudes got like a different way of thinking. And even though like no, it's not black, but I could feel the pain in like a lot of the ways they talk. You could hear like the poeticness within their
Yep.
verbiage. And then I'm also a kid too. Like I love the play ons. Like Shel Silverstein, by far, I probably collected all his books. So definitely know he was the
I
man for
love
me.
that.
Um,
It's
so
so
kind
funny you brought up. Oh, I'm so
no, no,
sorry.
no. Go ahead, go ahead.
Nah, I got so excited because you brought up Shakespeare, and I
Hmm.
absolutely loved Shakespeare growing up. And
Yes.
my friends would, to this day, make fun of me because I still have a lot of like, because we used to have to memorize a
Hmm.
lot of what are they like monologues from
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
The
So I still,
monologues, the sonnets,
yeah,
all
so
them
I
Jones.
so I still have a bunch of them memorized. And my friends would just look at me like, "All right, so are you gonna pull out Shakespeare?"
I don't blame you, though. But for real, I think like, and I think really when I hit high school and like the the classical literature, whether it was English or whatever European it was, like I really kind of grew into that. Like when we started talking about like the Odyssey and the Iliads and
Yeah,
Hamlet,
Caesar.
that whole genre, Oedipus complex, like that whole genre of English literature, I think it was so astounding to me because as a black man or as people of color, we don't get the opportunity to learn a lot of those stuff, especially at a complex level and intellectual level,
Mhm.
and to be able to understand it, right? And to
Right.
comprehend, like a lot of the stuff that they're talking about still goes on today. It's just they use different, old Queen's English. But if you were to put a hip hop spin or anything on that, it's still the same thing that we live through today. So I think that's
Right.
why I was able to relate it because I always looked at it with a different, with a different lens, a different perspective on it. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's also interesting. I'm gonna add on to something really quick before we move on, but another thing that I hadn't mentioned, but I absolutely love music, and a lot of
Hmm.
my writing comes from like when I listen to rap and hip hop. Like I love
Hmm.
lyricism and wordplay, and so a lot of my inspiration, like sometimes I won't sit here and read other like poems to get inspired. I'll listen to music to get inspired because it's poetry, just poetry
Yeah.
on a beat, right? So I listen to so many different artists just to get that inspiration, and I'm like, all right, now I know. Now I got my flow back.
Yeah.
So music is definitely another inspiration for me as well.
I mean, that's literally my whole style, right? Like street poetry is definitely for me, like a lot of people call themselves poets. I call myself a flowet because like, like I don't
Hey,
I don't
that's
rap.
that.
I don't rap, but I definitely enjoy speaking over a beat and like having that rhythm and that cadence
Mm-hmm.
within the music. So trust me, I'm the biggest R&B soul person there is. So you ain't saying nothing but a word to me on that one. But yeah, kind of moving on. I kind of want to stay on you and kind of moving. So I know you talked about, your heritage, your culture. You recently put out a book, and I'm not sure, I can't remember. Was it about your mother, I believe?
Yes. So it's called Speechless. And a little context there, a couple years ago when, COVID first hit and we all went into quarantine, I always had a dream to write a book, but I always felt like something that I was gonna do later on in life, like when I had time.
Hmm.
But the world stopped and I finally had time and there was no space for excuses. Um, and so I took that time to really be like, you know what, mom, like my youngest brother's autistic, he's on speaking. And I told her, I'm like, you have a story and I really, really want to share your story. And obviously with her blessing, she told me like, of course. So I spent months, I think the entire summer of 2020 interviewing my mom. I got her
Hmm.
entire story. I wrote everything out. And I really wanted the purpose of the book is I want it to be an outlet for families, for doctors, or for whoever that is going through similar experiences. I want them to really feel like, hey, I'm not alone. It's not just me. Because it is easy to feel like it's just you. But initially, the book was actually supposed to be strictly about my brother and my mom
Hmm.
raising my brother.
Hmm.
But then I realized that this was a great opportunity to talk about my mom. I realized that it wasn't so much so my brother's story, but my mom's story to tell. And I wanted to take this as an opportunity to talk about, Algeria, to talk about where she came from and talk about her culture and how she made it to America. So talk about immigration, her and my dad, and how her being an immigrant, somebody who doesn't speak English as, their first language, and the barriers that she had to face, the adversity she had to face when being faced with something like autism. Like what does that mean?
Yeah,
So the book is called Speechless. It's on my website, esmanitim.com. It's on Amazon, but really the history behind it is it's my mom's history and I write it from her perspective. So think of it like like a memoir. It's a memoir
hmm,
just with a
hmm.
ghostwriter instead. I'm her ghostwriter. But yeah, like that was something really special for me, and I knew that that was something that I needed to put together, and to this day is it's my favorite project thus far. And I actually include a poem that I wrote about my brother in the book too. So I like to intertwine a lot of different things. But yeah.
That's beautiful. And I think, because I follow you, I don't know if I've heard that one, or maybe you wrote another one about your brother that you have posted on your Instagram, but I don't know if that's the same one. But you do got that is a story to tell. Especially, mothers, they're just the birth of so many nations, right? Like if you like nothing can be without a mother. And the fact that, your mother had the courage to not only leave her country to come to a new world, right? But to raise her children and then be faced with, you know, a task of not speaking English as her first language, being in a new world, but also having an autistic child too. So that's incredible. That's truly incredible.
Thank you.
But for sure, so kind of moving on, I'm not trying to make light of any situations, but still moving on through this.
Nah,
I
you
want to make
good.
sure I just want to make sure we get you. I'm trying to get as much encompassed about you as I can in this
For
short
sure,
span.
for
So
sure.
like,
Nah, I know, yeah. It gotta be short too. So and I can talk for days. Like
I
I
believe
talk
it.
a
I'm
lot.
right
So
there. I am right there with you, and I have no problems with that for sure. But like Yesma, like tell us who who is Yesma, and then who is Esma when she's not with the pen and pad. You know what I'm saying? Like who are you without the pen and pad?
You know what's so funny? I've never thought of it. I've never thought of the Yesma and Esma as two different people. You're
Hmm.
not the first person that has said something like that to me. Somebody's mentioned that it's like my alter ego or whatever.
Ego,
But
yeah.
it's funny. Like I think of this is gonna be a little bit funny, but you know how Hannah Montana
You
highlights
got the
two
best of
different
both worlds,
personas. I just don't got a blonde wig.
right? Nah, but that's real
But
though, because that's the same thing with me when I play football. So I feel you. I feel you.
nah, so yeah. So I mean, I guess when I'm yes ma, I'm really yes ma on stage, and I think that's really the only time I'm yes ma. But I think it's just more so channeling a different type of energy. Like when I'm writing, I feel like it's just something magical happening, like you feel this rush, like this adrenaline. Like earlier today, I was talking with one of my friends, and I'd asked her, I'm like, is there a topic? Because I like to challenge myself when I write too. I don't want to feel like I'm only writing about the same thing. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, is there a topic that you would want me to write about? And so she was telling me something that she thought would be really cool. So I started writing, and when I started writing, I'm like, oh my God, like what's happening right now?
Mhm.
And so I feel like that magical experience that you're having with yourself, that is what I experience as Yesma when I'm on stage. And then Esma, that's just my like me. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you know me, so I am who I am.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
what you get at face value, that's
Right.
always been me.
It's you at the core, right? That's you get what you
Exactly.
get. So uh
Exactly.
but yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I like to ask that question just because me personally, I ask myself that question a lot too. Like, especially when, for you and some of our other creatives, this is something you could do for a lifetime, right? But hanging up the cleats, that has a time span, right? So like
Right.
who are you, Lamar, outside of, when you're on that field, when you have that different mentality, when you have that dog in you, like who are you when that is all said
Right.
and done, when that goes away? And so I ask myself that all the time because there is still a burning passion and a love for the sport, right? But there's also reality, right? There's a health
Mhm.
reality, there's a lifespan. So that's why I like to ask you guys that, because it's a real question, and it forces you to
That's
really
true.
think and channel who you are. And that's something you can ask yourself every day and strive for something new every day, right?
It's,
Like
yeah.
Yesma gets on that stage and she's coming with energy, she's coming with force. But maybe Esma, it's not like she's not the same energy, but maybe she's a little bit more reserved. You know what I mean? Maybe she
Right.
prefers to be
Right.
a little bit introverted and keep all the stuff in the lab and vault her writings and not share. When Yesma's like, no, 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 we need to share this. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just about which one pushes you to speak your real truth. And I think that's
Mhm.
the good thing. Like, people hate alter egos. I'm a big fan of it. Like, I'm all about like no excuse, just produce. Whichever one gets it out there, use it.
Right.
um
Exactly.
so for sure, like, so to end the last question for you, what is success to you? And as a legacy, how do you want to be remembered when it's all said and done?
These are both heavy questions.
Oh, I try to put it on y'all, man. I gotta give it. I
He's
gotta.
like, this is a short interview, but
Right,
these
but
are
let me.
these are the heaviest of questions.
Right.
Like
That's how I
this is
do, baby.
this is a whole essay question in
It is. I need
school.
it
They're
in the
like write
MLA
that five
format. I need
the five
MLA format.
paragraphs. So I'm gonna give you the intro and the conclusion. There's no body.
Okay. Give me the intro and the conclusion then.
I feel like success. I think that actually, let's run it back. When I say this all the time with my friends, I talk about how when we're kids, it's kind of engraved in us where it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? Like you want to be a fireman, you want to be a policeman, or you strive to be rich, right? Like
Mhm.
it's always about money. Like you want to work hard, or that stems, I think, from a lot of like cultural things, immigration things. You want to make sure that you're financially stable, financially free, and I believe in all of that too. I think financial freedom is very, very important.
Absolutely.
But I think when it comes to success, because it means something different to everybody, I think the foundation of it, at least, is doing what brings you inner peace, doing
Mm.
what makes you happy. Because I could be on top, I could be the VP of a company, and that might look like success to some people, and I could be miserable and hate my job. I'm just good at discipline. I can discipline myself, right? Like I can get to the top, but when I'm at the top, it's like, yeah, I have all this money, but am I truly happy?
I think this kind of brings us to the question of like, does money bring you happiness and whatever. There's so
Mhm.
many different answers to that, but ultimately success for me is just is really doing what makes me happy, being in a position in my life where yes, I am financially free on my own terms, but I find peace, and that means peace within family, love, career, passion. There's a lot of layers to that, but I think the foundation of success, at least to me at this point in my life, I do see it as being in a position where I am happy, where I am doing what I love, where I'm surrounded by love, where I am at peace. Um, that's success for me.
Mm.
Um, there was a part two to that
And
question,
how do
unless
you?
you
And
wanted
then,
to say
yeah,
something.
nah. Trust me, you got time. Don't be shortening your answers. Like you trust me. It's my podcast. I control this. So you got time. Speak whatever you got to speak. So the second part to this is, what legacy do you want to leave behind, and how do you want to be remembered?
This question is very, very interesting to me because
You feel like you just
oh,
getting started, huh?
I am 100% just getting started. But about, I don't know, about a year ago or so, or a while ago, I was going through the motions, and I was trying to. I feel like we all kind of go through it where you're like, I don't know what to do with my life. Do I want to go back to school? What career path do I want to take? I feel like we kind of all go through that, but I was really going through it, right? And I'm like, well, if I go back to school, what do I want to go back to school for? And all these questions. I'm an overthinker, so I also think about like the little things too and all of that.
Mhm.
And I was having a conversation with one of my good friends, and he had asked me a question that had never been asked before, and it completely changed my outlook on everything. And it was the question you just asked me. And it was, well, what do you want your legacy to be? And he asked me that, and I was actually taken aback. I
Mhm.
was, my jaw dropped because I was like, wait, hold up. I've never seen it from that perspective. I've always just kind of seen it from, I'm just looking up, and it's like, well, what do I want to do? What do I think will make me happy in 5 years? But instead, it's kind of like looking backwards. You're at the finish line looking back. What do I want to be remembered for? What do I
Mm.
want what do I want my legacy to be? What do I want people to know me for?
That's a
What do I
bar.
want to be known? Like
That's a
I was
bar.
thinking
Looking
of
back
it.
from the finish line, like that's a bar. That was a bar. Yo, I had to stop and pause on that joke. She said, "In reality, I'm looking from the finish line back to the start. Like, what do I? What upon part of this journey do I? Wow.
So I didn't get like I was taken aback, and it really made me stop and think. And a part of me is still looking for that answer. I think I know
Mhm.
the overarching answer of the more I experience the life, the more I realize that I do want to be somebody who leaves a positive impact on my community, on my people. I do want to be somebody who makes a positive change. I want to be somebody who changes statistics for the
Mhm.
better. I want to be someone whose words are read over, and people are like, "Wow, like that was amazing." Like that inspires me. I do want to be an inspiration. Like I want people to, not for me, but for the people, like for my community. If it inspires you and it helps you in some way, shape, form, or any of that, then that would make me happy. That is what I want my legacy to be. There's no one thing that I can be like, well, I want to be extremely rich, and I want to leave behind. Yes, I want to leave behind generational wealth for my future kids. Yes, I want to put them in a position where, they can think of their grandma or their mom and be like, oh my God, she set it all up for us. Like, yes, of course, that's great. But I feel like when I think a little bit deeper into it, like I if I think of my own inspirations and people that inspire me, I want to be like that. And think to myself like, wow, I want to I'm motivated because I heard that one person say what they said. that's what I want my legacy to be. Um, so yeah, I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, um, it's not just about it's not about people pleasing, right? I think
Hmm.
it's really what am I bringing to the table for myself too? Like what do I want to be for my people? And also what do I want to be for myself?
Hmm.
So again, I think there's also layers when it comes to legacy. That's I think where I'm at right now in life when because I said as I said before, I'm still kind of figuring it out a little bit.
Hmm.
But based off of just sort of my experiences as of now, I feel like I do want to leave that positive impact um, for others and for myself. I always say that it's important to give to your body because your body will give back that goodness too.
Right.
And I feel like treat yourself kindly because so much that you're a legacy to other people, but you also want to be a legacy to yourself. I see life on I it's this is interesting because I see life as I've only started seeing life this way several months back, but I kind of see life as a museum. When you think of
Hmm.
legacy, right? Like we talk about these authors and these poets that inspire us, and you see artists in museums and you look at their life through the decades, right?
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
watch these films of these really important people from the decades. Um, and that is us, as individuals, we are a museum. So what do we want to bring to the table for ourselves? What do we want to be remembered by? Like, what do we want to leave behind so that when people enter our museum, what do they see?
Hmm. Yeah. That's what's over here dropping the mic, yo. I swear, she's over here. I see life as a museum. Oh man, she's over here dropping mics on us right now. I love it. I love it. I'm all for it. I am
I
all
could go
for it.
on for days. Listen, I
Shoot,
could
you know,
literally go on. I could have given
yeah,
you a straight answer of just like I want my legacy to be this.
but that's
But
too easy.
it's too easy. And like I said, I'm still figuring it out, but that's just kind of like that's how I'm thinking about it at the moment.
But that's the
Um,
journey, right? Like that,
yeah.
and honestly, that's the beauty in the journey, right? Like if we, and I don't know what people's religions is or what it's not, but like if we were all knowing, then it would be no purpose in us doing this, right? Like
Mhm.
if we knew what was gonna happen, if we knew that, oh yeah, I just want to make people happy and make it a positive energy, or I know this what my legacy is gonna be, then it'd just be like, so what are we doing it for if we already know that's gonna be the outcome? Whereas
Exactly.
taking it day by day with the unknown and figuring out along the way, handling adversity, right?
Mhm.
Like that that's growth, right? You don't get growth from, always being right. You get it from the mistakes made, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I say it all the time. If you burning, you learning. I mean, like, you stick your hand on that stove, best believe don't put your hand back on that stove. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just lessons, and that's the best way we can go in life.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%. I feel like I always say we're never absolute beings. We're never at our best. We're always getting better. So
Hmm.
there's no final form. I think okay, I could be wrong. I'm a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, but even when he reached what Super Saiyan 4, like he
Right.
that wasn't his final form. Like
It still wasn't his
it got
final form,
it got
yo.
crazier after that.
Which is crazy. Which, by the way, they need to go ahead. I don't know when we going. Not. I'm not saying we need to wrap it up, but we hitting forms that don't even make sense now. Like
You know what I mean?
we just adding to that. But I mean,
So
but
I'm
but
like,
that's the point, right? Like you can always find more, right? Like that's
hmm
why they say sky's the limit because you can keep going, like keep pressing that
well,
boundary.
now we can go to Mars, so that's different.
Shoot. I
Mars is the
mean,
limit. Is that?
I don't know because I guess there's a couple other planets still out there that we still trying to reach. So I guess there's really not a limit.
hmm
But awesome, man. I appreciate the time with you, Essmaa. I'm so excited. Honestly, it's weird, seeing this become a reality now. But I'm excited for all you guys to come into town and we're gonna have our own fun, before and after the show. So we got our own plan set up. But I'm excited for everything. I'm glad you know, even took the offer to join us and be a part of this as well. And I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lamar. I really, really appreciate it. I'm really excited. Congratulations to you guys for your first event. This is amazing.
Thank you,
I'm
thank you, thank
really,
you.
really looking forward to seeing how it all comes together and meeting all the other artists too. I'm really excited for that. And it's coming so soon. Like we've been talking about this for mad long.
Yeah, it's been a couple months we've been on it, and now it's here. But
Yeah.
before we let you go, can you please drop your platforms, your socials, your websites, everything you need, that way we can find you and support who you are?
Thank you. Yeah, of course. So I go by the name of Essmaa, as you guys know. It's at YESS_MAA. And then I have my website, that's esmaateam.com. That's LITIM for my last name. And I also have a YouTube channel, which I upload some of my poetry to. I'm not super active on that, but I do have my videos on there. It's also Essmaa as well, so you guys can find it there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You can add me on LinkedIn if y'all want to. Like, I've got Bentley side coming out.
Uh, you can add me on LinkedIn if you need some, future events and stuff like that. New job host. That is hilarious.
Book
That was a good
me.
one. I feel you. Well, thank you again for being here with us. Again, everyone, all the artists' platforms and websites and everything will be listed below on our podcast, on our YouTube page, on all our social media. So you'll be able to find them there. And the event is going to be Sunday, August 14th. Doors open at 4 p.m. The show starts at 5 p.m. If you know us, we are Black folks, so that really means 5:15. But still show up early so we can mingle and do all a bunch of other stuff as well. But it's gonna be a good night. You guys won't regret it. It's gonna either end your week off right or rejuvenate you right and fuel you for the start of a new week. So thank you again, Essmaa, and
Thank you so much.
we're just gonna go on out on that one. Thank you.
Peace out, two fingers.
Once again, I would like to say thank you to all the artists and performers who came on this episode and joined us. It was a blast, man. Had some good laughs, had some good mic drops, had a lot of good knowledge and perspective on a lot of things. But I know you guys didn't think the episode was over before we exit without our jewel. Of course not. And so I'm going to leave you all with this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And with that, 2 fingers, peace and love. 2 fingers, 2 up, 2 down. 2 fingers, deuces. We out, baby. How much longer will this linger? Stacking problems like Jenga. Issues piss life with stingers. And I'm out, 2 fingers.